Hi, welcome to Forest Fridays. This is my weekly series to encourage you to slow down, take out the headphones, get rid of distractions, escape from the grind for a few minutes, and experience nature um, from afar. However, if you can take these lessons into your daily life, that would be incredible too. So, if you have started watching my channel, I would encourage you to subscribe and like. That would really be amazing. In some of my other videos, I talk a little bit about my life story on how I got to particularly this place. I am in the foothills of Appalachia. This is called the Western Highland Rim. Tennessee is really an interesting geology. There are actually 9 different zones across the almost rectangular state. So this area features these really amazing terrain of the bluffs and the watersheds coming down. This is the Buffalo River. It does run all year round. And in 2018, I walked away from a career as a college professor. I walked away from tenure. Um, and I'm out here with those goals of if you could, you would, right? And if I could, I would spend more time in nature, all of those things. And it got to the point in my position where I just couldn't imagine myself being in that kind of Groundhog Day routine commute for a few hours a day, yada yada, for like 3 more decades. It just like wore on my heart and soul. So here I am, and I have actually been certified as a forest therapy guide. Forest bathing is a term coined in Japan called Shinrin-yoku. It's a really interesting concept, right? And it makes total sense if you look into the history of this, that in the 80s, they saw a significant increase in people moving to the cities in combination with people having a significant increase in loss of health issues. So during a research, they discovered that trees emit this thing called phytonicides. And if people, the research group that spent more time in nature, had these health benefits. So even if you can only go outside for 15 minutes, um, if you want to bring plants inside, if you watch nature videos, that's helpful too. So I would encourage you to find a spot that you can do this and look in your area for a forest therapy guide, or get in touch with me if you would like a private session. So this is not necessarily a complete forest therapy walk. What I'm trying to do each week here is give you just a dose. And I'm combining this with reading some poetry about nature. I've started with this book, The Poetry of Impermanence, Mindfulness, and Joy, right? These are the things that we hopefully are all seeking more of, especially in today's world, and kind of, is my job secure? Is my job secure from artificial intelligence? All of those different things. So I hope to reach through this series that I'm doing people who also might have accessibility issues, or live in a different geographic area and you want to watch the scenery change. So here we are. It's middle of November. I was wearing a t-shirt yesterday. It's morning time. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but I probably could wear a t-shirt. The temperature, there's a storm front coming in. There's gray clouds, and the temperatures are going to drop back down to kind of normal for this time of year. The weather here usually is going to get colder in December. January, February is some of the colder months. We may or may not have snow. I've been watching weather predictions that will probably be above average in the snow. So I'll be doing this weekly. Unless it's like pouring down rain, I'll try to figure out a different day to do it. I'm noticing some really beautiful mushrooms on a tree across from me right now. So I think that I'm going to set up over there to read um, the two poems today that are in sequence. Um, Once I get to the end of this book, I'll find something else. And a lot of people have their favorite authors and poets that are, kind of like what you think about in nature. Today, ironically, in the book, there's a Yeats poem and a Shakespeare. I remember that I've kind of had a love of literature. I did not study literature in college or anything like that. It's just this kind of part of me. And I remember, like, in eighth grade, we had a significant amount of time in English class devoted to Shakespeare, acting out plays, all of those different things. So one of the things that I encourage you to do is, in this go slow commitment that you have, if you were saying if you could, you would, just take some time to notice things that maybe you wouldn't notice, right? So if you're moving slow and you're not in that chaotic timeline, you might notice things in your world that are exciting, right? So let's take a look at those beautiful mushrooms over there, the color, and just the amazing thing about biology and like the ecosystem. So right before I get started, which is going to be in a second, this area of Tennessee and Tennessee in general is one of the most biodiverse ecologies in the Northern Hemisphere. And for me, I'm seeing a lot of people move to Tennessee, and a lot of the farmland within 45 minutes of me, at least, is becoming urbanized or factories. And this is something that really pulls at my heart and soul strings, because once farmland is plowed over for a house or a factory, it's not a farmland anymore. So, where are we getting our food from, right? Is it all going to be made in petri dishes? I don't know. Like it's nice to be able to have wide stretches of land to like create a new housing development, but it's very short-sighted in my opinion, because we have this beautiful resource of fertile land, and we aren't using it effectively. So that being said, let's not to get too heavy, let's get into our poetry, and then I'm going to take you on a little bit of a walk. I'm thinking we might go part of the same way that I've been going, and then I'll take you up to the bluff. But the river is kind of interesting. So I'm standing on an island, and sometimes the water is going to be completely surrounding the island, and sometimes it's not. So anyway, yeah, it's going to rain tonight, and the water level is going to changes the rocks, changes all sorts of things. All right. It's really beautiful. Today, I'm going to read William Butler Yeats, 1865 to 1939. And I'm on page 12 of this book. The title of this poem is called The Wild Swans at Cool. The trees are in their autumn beauty. The woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight, the water mirrors a still sky. Upon the brimming water, among the stones, are 59 swans. The 19th autumn has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw before I had well finished, all suddenly mount, and scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon those brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All's changed since I, hearing at twilight, the first time on this shore, the bell beat of their wings above my head, trot with a lighter tread. Unwearied still, lover by lover, they paddle in the cold. Companionable streams or climb the air, their hearts have not grown old. Passion or conquest wander where they will, attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes they will build, by what lake's edge or pool. Delight men's eyes when I awake some day to find they have flown away. Shakespeare was born 1564, died 1616. This is one of his sonnets, number 73. I'm just going to readjust here. That time of year thou mayst in me behold, when yellow leaves, or none, or few, do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold, bare ruined choirs where late the sweet bird sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth awake, death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave ere long. And I'm going to read one more, because we are in autumn. This one is translated from the Chinese by David Hinton. It's called Autumn Thoughts Sent Far Away, written somewhere in 772 to 846 by Po Chui. We share all these disappointments of failing, autumn 1,000 miles apart. This is where autumn wind easily plunders courtyard trees, but the sorrows of distance never scatter away. Swallow shadows shake out homeward wings, orchid scents thin, drifting from old thickets. These lovely seasons and fragrant years falling lonely away, we share such emptiness here. Let's just hang out here for a few more minutes. I don't know if the audio is picking up the birds in the distance or the water lapping. And they don't have smell-o-vision to smell the sense of the water. Not too cold. feels good. All right, let's go for a walk. If you started watching these and there's something that you see that you think is interesting and you want to know a little more about, leave me a comment. If there's a spot you think you would like me to spend more time, leave me a comment. This is the time of year to watch all the leaves floating in the water. As I've mentioned before, the water line here changes, the amount of rocks change, the heavier rains will bring trees and debris. I'm trying to think, 2021, we had a big snowstorm and then it warmed up pretty fast and some rain. So we had some flooding here. And I would say the water at that point where I'm standing was probably about 15 to 20 feet higher, at least, I think. Because I would say 15 to 20 feet. There were lots of trees floating down the river. And notice what you're noticing. Today I've been noticing these little leaves, and the backs of them are bright. Like this. Like that contrast is really interesting. So I have an artist residency program here on my property, and that goes with a long tradition of artists and writers and thinkers and regular people just needing some time to escape the fast-paced society of the industrial world we live in. If you come across this video and you want to apply, send me a comment and I'll try to remember to maybe put the link in the description for the residency program. One of the cool things here is that these root system, I'm trying to remember, 2022, so maybe like a year and a half, two winters ago, you could see through that, like that was all water there. And another big storm brought enough rocks to fill that in. So people that were here a few years ago have photographs of us standing in water here and just watching the water go through those roots. And that's what I love about the book that I picked for this series, the Impermanence, of just like learning about change and kind of like letting go. Oh, there's some fishies in here. How the power of water can really change things. Trying to get too wet here, stepping in the water. I also recently posted a video about water as a life philosophy. I would really encourage you to think about that, watching that, and thinking about water and how peaceful this water is. How can we channel that inner peace? It's so clear. I don't know if the video is picking up on it. Let me make a little ripple. There's maybe something you do in your life that makes a ripple. Something you say or a positive interaction you've had with somebody that can create an entire change. Let that change be positive. In my water video, I talk a lot about the experiments that have been done on water with positive and negative words and sounds and lighting situations. Did you know that? Did you know that those experiments have been done and they take these water molecules, put them under a microscope, and the water that has been subjected to the more harsh experiences, words, negative experiences, cannot form a crystal? Imagine what that means if we ourselves are in negative environments. It's kind of where I was before I made the decision to walk away from it all and come out here full time. Definitely has some healing benefits being in nature. I thought I'd walk over here. You can see the trash happens, so there's something there. I need to, because the water does flood here. That looks like a baby carrier. Yep. Sometimes it's like someone's backyard. So I just went kind of around the long way of where we were sitting. One of the things I encourage everyone to do is also take some time to look up, stretch. We all spend too much time looking down at our phones, looking down at our computers, looking down at the counter while we're cooking, looking down at our feet while we're walking. It's a luxury to look up. And then if you do see something looking down, all the colors here I think are really interesting. All right, we're going to walk up the hill, head over to the bluff, and take a look at this from above before we finish for the day. Let's see if I can make it over there. I'm collecting little seeds on my pants. Where is it? Okay, right here. Yeah, like that. I don't want to walk past that. So this is the kind of weed plant, right, that like animals will walk past, and it collects on the animal's fur and then it deposits it in some other place. So it'll take some time for me to pick that off of my clothing. Okay, here we go. All the browns, but still pops of green, which is really amazing. Okay. Look at this cool green. Moss that starts to form on trees that have fallen. It's a little bit of a stairmaster. While I catch my breath. Okay, here we go. That's cool. One red leaf and the rocks. More leaves. A bit more breezy up here. Last week I talked about these trees. They don't lose, this tree does not lose its leaves until the next season's leaves arrive. So it makes it a really beautiful, scenic element throughout the winter. That's where we were. I love looking at the different colors of the bark and how far away you can see once there's no leaves on the trees. All right, there's one more spot that I like to take you. Wow, that's a nice clear spot. So we were just down there. Soft. Can you see the mushrooms way out there? Well, I just wanted to thank you for your time today. I super appreciate it. Not sure how people are finding these, but I'm just hoping that, like that stone that I threw into that placid little pond, that just one stone has a ripple effect. And if you found this video and you're that one person for this week and something in you changes, and you start listening to the "if I could, I would" and take action, or shift gears in some way, or find a special spot in your neighborhood, or buy a houseplant that's cat friendly, or whatever it needs to be. Buy a book from, a poet that is living today to help an artist. Go to the library and check out a book to help the library in your community. Anything of that nature. And I'll see you next week. Thanks.